Hello, everyone. This is where I break down Act 9 and what is probably my all time favorite acts so far are going to be Act 9, 10, 11. Because while the original pacing plan was for me to finish the story by Act 12, it's going to not go there. I already know I'm going to at least go up to Act 13. And Shiva's whole section is going to be all the way through Act 11. Okay? That's already obvious through the amount of massive baggage I need to go through when it comes to Garble. But on that note, we finally got Smolder's side of the gap and baggage, and that we have a basic understanding now of why she's so loyal to Amber, why she hated Spike at first, and so on. Why she's such a loyal dragon in general. I always wanted to explore this angle with Smolder and other stories, but never could because my other stories rarely involve the Student 6 in general, and I don't have too many one-shots that want to dive directly into Smolder planned that aren't just shipping related. When it comes to Act 9, I wanted to break down Smolder as a character, but not all the way. This is just barely the start, okay? This is the lit match before we get to the firecracker. I know someone in the comments, I keep seeing you, wants to have a full on battle of Smolder and one of the Dragon Lords. It should be pretty obvious by now that was always the plan. Yes, she's going to be fighting Shiva. That's obvious. That's going to be the plan for next act. And of course, in Act 11. But for Act 9, I obviously wanted to have Ember and Thorax finally meet back up with Spike and Amber. Sorry, Spike and Smolder. And I don't think I had the reveal yet that Smolder slept with Spike towards Amber. No. Amber doesn't know that Smolder slept with Spike, but that will become clear to Amber later in either Act 10 or 11, one or the other. I just didn't want to like spend a massive chunk of it explains like, oh, you banged him, blah 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 blah. That is not their relationship. Amber and Smolder, I've always seen as sort of the sisters that aren't sisters in the show. So that's kind of how I'm treating them in the books, okay? In Dragon May Cry. So don't think I'm going to have a lesbian moment between these two. No. There's a reason why I went out of my way really freaking early to state that they're related. Yeah, they're cousins. Yes, I sort of had that sort of flashback where Garble was offered the hand of Amber, but that went nowhere. She didn't sleep with him at all. So it was more of a marriage of property, power play and property and all that stuff. And it was clearly never going to be the plan because, as this act revealed, I introduced a new dragon, Unadari. Yes, the reference is pretty on the fucking note. For those who don't know, in Indian mythology, Shiva has multiple daughters, and one of them, I can't remember her full name, but I took a chunk of her name to make Unadari. I didn't want to make the full name because it was really freaking long. And overall, I like her design. If I'm not sure if it got across fully, but she's basically a silver blue dragon. Not quite on Amber's colors of blue, but more of a silver blue. Let's see. Think more Felicia Hardy's white hair, but not full on white silver. What's another good example? Please. No. I know. Fairy Tail. Anyone a fan of Fairy Tail? Think of it like this. Lisa Ann has white hair. Her sister has white hair. However, the two girls that look exactly like them have silver blue hair. Let's think of it like that, okay? I think they're bird based. They're from the what's my favorite girl's country? Blazes. They work under she's she's in the freaking list for SLC. They work under her. Anyway, but think those colors. Think sort of a silver bluish white, okay? That is an Adari's colors, okay? And when we finally get to the reveal of her father, he is definitely leaning more into a silver look, okay? I can't remember what colors I gave for freaking Nidhogg, but I might need to go back and change it, or at least make sure it doesn't conflict with Shiva also being a silver in color. Because the idea was always to keep like a similar vibe in their colors, but not quite. Because Echidna has got this sort of rotten, decaying color to him. I think I leaned for like a blackish or a green. I need to seriously list out what colors these dragons have. But I am settling on Shiva being silver, okay? I might change it later if it conflicts with what Nidhogg has. I need to go back and read that. But there is so much I wanted to do with Garble in general when I first started the story. I've been planning Garble's demise since Act 1, okay? That was always going to be a backstory piece for Smolder. What the fuck happened to Garble? A lot of you guys mentioned in the comments, like, where's Garble? Where's Garble? Tell us, where's Garble? It's like, yeah, that's the point. Garble's dead. How did he die? We're still not getting a clear answer on that for you guys until you reach Act 10. Kinda. It will be clear overall once you get through all 3 acts. I want to play the mystery just a bit slower, okay? We got the end of Act 9 that he not only wants to be with an Adari, but Garble full on asks for her hand in marriage to Shiva himself. I love that chapter, not just for the ending, but obviously the build up to Shiva, because get this, I'm going to be doing the same damn build up, but from a different angle when Spike and Smolder finally confront him. Dang it. There's going to be a lot of parallels on the journey between the two, okay? I'm not just going to be making shit up for a different path. No, they're going down the same exact path. And I'm playing with those angles for Act 10. But the emotional charge will be very different, obviously, because for Garble, he wanted to prove himself. For Smolder, there is clear intent of revenge in her mind during Act 10, folks. So be ready for that. She wants blood. Okay? You're going to get what you want, fans. Her finally fighting a Dragon Lord, and her fighting a Dragon Lord, finally. How will it end? I don't know. What? Yeah, of course I know. I wrote the freaking chapters. I can't spoil for you guys what I know. Either way, that's kind of why I chose the background. Noticed it's Lelouch and Nunnally, brother and sister. I like the idea. Yes, Garble is not Lelouch, nor is he Nunnally, but there's a very similar vibe, okay? That Smolder is going on this adventure to avenge her brother. Overall, the plan is now that you know who our target is, being Shiva, Act 10 is going to be exploring the temple. Like, so obviously, yeah, exploring the next temple, finding the next weapon, but especially the confrontation with Shiva. Also, gonna have some really fun moments with that weapon because it'll be clear finally at that moment what I've got themed for the wives. I always had a theme matchup for the wives. It may already be clear to some of you guys, but it will be bluntly obvious when we get there because I just straight up say what the theming is for these girls. We'll finally get the Kirin. I might have changed the name on the Kirin. I could have sworn in a previous chapter I named the Kirin one name, and then as I was writing that chapter, I'm like, I like this name better. This name works better, but I'm not sure if I told you guys what the original name was. So I'm gonna have to read back, see what I made and where I made a mistake or anything like that. That's kind of the problem with having a story this fucking long, is keeping track of everything in freaking clicking formats. If I had all of it in a sorry, if I had the whole story in a G-Doc, it'd be so much easier, but I don't. I kind of don't know why I shouldn't. I really should have it all in a G-Doc if I want to transfer it into a book later. But I'll worry about that another time, okay? For the sake of consistency, I will look up if I've revealed the Kieran's name. If not, I will keep the name I've chosen because I really like that name. It's hilarious. It's a really good reference. I've done this video like 4 times, so I need to make sure if I've gotten this across. As for references, I might be repeating myself. As I said several times I've done this. Shiva obviously is a reference to the Indian god himself, okay? Shiva. And he has daughters in that mythology. One is named Onodari. Well, not really fully Onodari. I took the name and broke it up, okay? I took a chunk of one name that was really long and then made it Onodari because I liked the name. And yeah, pretty much all the dragons outside of Ember have a direct reference. We have Nidhogg is Viking mythology, Echidna is Greek mythology, which makes sense since she's so close to the Sirens. Sirens is very Greek mythology. For Shiva, they're based on the Cloud Ryu of Chinese mythology, but I wanted to switch things up and essentially give him an Indian name to sort of flip the trope going on here. You probably think, oh, it should be a Chinese name because it's a Chinese dragon. But it's also in the south. Tell me, folks, what is south of China? Yeah, India, hence the name. And I'll be handling the... I don't know if I named it Cloud Ryu or Lightning Ryu in the earlier chapters, but I've sort of stuck myself in just saying Lightning Ryu over and over again. I know it seems rather redundant to name it Lightning Canyon and then the Lightning Ryu. I'm pretty sure I originally had it stated as Lightning Canyon and Cloud Ryu, but it's too late to change it now. I am way too far in editing. But their designs are very much the classic serpentine dragon of Chinese mythology. Some are going to be big, some are going to be small. None of them are going to be the gigantic size of Nidhogg, okay? Nidhogg was always planned to be the biggest one of the Dragon Lords. That was obvious. But this one's still going to be roughly bigger than Echidna. Yeah, around there, okay? Because like Echidna, instead of making her a snake, like in Greek mythology, I just made her this fat, ugly, just fat, pludgely creature because I wanted to break the trope of, oh, it's the female dragon queen. Ergo, in tropes, it must be super sexy and juggle everything. And Queen Chrysalis. No. Yes, she's a reference to Queen Chrysalis, but no, she's not some bouncy, booby bullshit. No. I wanted to break that trope, okay? Go for this sort of, what's that one villain from Marvel, X-Men? Mojo. Think like that. That's essentially what I base what I base Echidna's design on, okay? As for Shiva, the 3 eyes are the main thing. And obviously, where's the third? Why has he got 3 eyes? That will be explained in Act 10, yes. But there's also another thing I kind of subtly played out in that chat in Act 9 that will be bluntly clear in Act 10. If you guys want, go ahead and reread Act 9 now that's in full, and you might catch some of the small hints. But unlike other places where the background is just scenery, the Lightning Canyon itself will play a massive role. The entire canyon itself will play a massive role in the story. Okay? Especially when we get to the grand reveal of his proper throne room. Because we only got a glimpse of it when Garble showed up, okay? As for my change to the bonus chapter, yes, the original plan for the bonus chapter was for Garble to have a sweet, spicy night with Anadari. That was already the plan. However, I changed my mind at the last minute, realizing the pacing issue of if I want to have Garble die later and have the final reveal during Act 11, I can't have him banging Anadari during Act 9. I kind of need to move that over to keep the pacing better. Outside from that, I thought, why not twist the knife on Thunderline? I just got finished killing him. Why not I kick him in the face more? I love torturing Thunderline. That has always been a running gag of mine in a lot of my stories. He's been in the background of so many scenes in this story. I finally kill him off. Why not I twist the knife and have him give him a girlfriend who's cheating on him, and then, well, not really cheating on him. They both were thinking of their men while they were going at it. And really, I hadn't done any lesbian action at all in any of the bonus chapters, so why not? It's hilarious that I dropped that Gabby is very bi and Rarity is very bi, that they even kiss at one moment, but I haven't done any lesbian action at all until this random one-off chapter. Either way, that's the road. I actually wrote that on the very day that the chapter was due, hence the reason it was so short. And the pacing was a bit off. It went from, oh, they're drinking coffee to, oh, they're drunk to, oh, now they're banging. Because I kind of wrote myself into a trap in the fact that every bonus chapter needs to have some spiciness. I might not do that for the final act. Just warning you ahead, folks, because a lot is happening in that one. Though one of my plans for the final bonus chapter is essentially a threesome with Spike, Gabby, and Rarity. I think that'd be a nice send off for those three characters before we end that part of the story and dive into everything that's going to be happening in Act 13. Don't know fully. I need to map out how many more acts. I think it's 13 acts. It might be 14 acts. No, it should be 13. Yeah, it'll be 13 and then a few extra chapters after the final act to sort of end the story before we dive into the sequel, preferably next year. Preferably, I start writing it before Season 2 of Devil May Cry drops. I'm worried it will be dropping in January. You bastards at Netflix better not drop it in January. You better pull the same shit you did before. Drop it in April and give me some breathing room. Because this is really cutting into my plans for my side story that connects SWWC to SLC. I'm still working on that in the background. I've got a few chapters done for it already. And with my projects for university, I want to get this started by December, but I might need to push it off to January because I've also got 2 commissions I got planned for December when it comes to art. I want to get the next of the Anti-6 drawn up, and I want to do a proper cover for Spike's Dragon May Cry, okay? I finally settled on what I'm doing for the Dragon May Cry covers. It's going to be 3 covers for each of the 3 seasons. And basically, it's going to be Spike in the center, changing emotions as we go through the seasons. Maybe tearing up his clothes a bit, some muscle showing off. And then we'll get headshots of each of the characters that are involved in the story. Like, for instance, Smolder, Twilight, Blue Blood, and Ember for the first cover. And blah, 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 blah for the second cover. And big spoilers, and big spoilers, and big spoilers, and big spoilers for the... basically 4 heads for everyone. Doesn't mean I'm covering every single character in the cover. It just means we're getting 4 headshots that'll give you like a good idea on who's important for this act. And sorry, for this season. I can't tell you who the next ones are because that would give heavy spoilers for the full plan. Especially if I told you season 2's cast. If I told you season 2's cast, that would ruin all my build up for season 1's finale. That would utterly destroy all my build up. Less so for revealing season 3. If I just straight told you season 3's cast, it wouldn't surprise you at all, but it would still spoil you. Because I'm pretty sure some of you guys have figured out certain characters, certain ideas. I've already told one of my friends who I'm straight up dropping into season 3 without warning. And if you're a massive Spike fan, you know exactly where I'm going with this when it comes to a Dragon Adventure. And I'm also curious if I want to include what's-her-name from the comics. I haven't done much with her in reading, but oh, Blaze, I know she's a fan favorite. I might do something with her in season 2 or season 3 if I even remember that she exists. But she's not at all planned right now, okay? I'll go ahead and end the video here because that's went on long enough. Hopefully I got every detail because complications.